All right, seems like you got it together now. We're gonna start this off. My name is Alan C, CEO, New Kingdom Entertainment. This is my podcast. Be quiet, grown folks is talking. Danny, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I got something blocking my screen. It's like a side chat thing.
All right. So, like I said, this is my podcast. Be quiet, grown folks is talking. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot of things. I'm definitely a work in progress. Right next to me is a gentleman that I've known most of my life. He's my best friend, actually. There's no doubt about that. And my brother from another mother for sure. He did my first podcast with me. And yeah, he's doing this one. And this one was sorely needed. Danny, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Danny Taylor. I'm from Queensbridge, Long Island City, Queens. Yeah, our first podcast was kind of interesting. We did it on the baby park. I remember that. That was quite some while ago. Just for an update, we did win some concessions with that. They're building a little park. Half of the, not even half, a quarter of the park is replaced, but nevertheless, thanks to, the support like that was given me and the things that we done, at least they heard us, and they did put a thing they called the baby park back over there. Nothing that we grew up with. But anyway, yeah. So these are the things I kind of do. I'm retired from work, but I'm still very active in community stuff. And this one here, this podcast is going to be about my wife who's passed on. But this lady was very significant in the Queensbridge houses and public housing in general. She did a lot of work with getting concessions and getting things done. She was a phenomenal person when it came to that. So much so, recently, they granted me a petition to name a street after her in the Queensbridge houses, and which was kind of big, and that's why we wanted to share that this story, which of her life with you and how she earned the right to have a street named after her, because you had to do some things, to have that kind of honor bestowed upon you. Still there, Al?
Yeah. Can you can hear me, right? Yeah.
No, the picture.
Yeah. I sometimes I switch the picture up and let you're talking, so I let you be the whole picture.
But
I don't always do it, but sometimes I do it just make the podcast more interesting, and you just ain't seeing the same thing the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt like I was alone.
No, but you're not alone. Definitely not alone.
So anyway, I pretty much introduced what it is that we wanted to kind of talk about today on this podcast. Just in case you know somebody, there's a process that like a lot of people say, yo, I want to name the street after so and so. It could be somebody that even passed away or something, and although she passed away, that's not the ground she got the street named after her for, because she was passed away. She would have got it if I would have, petitioned for it. She would have got it whether she was alive or not.
She was alive. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I started out, it was bugging me all along to want to see if we could name a street after her. And I remember at her funeral, the borough president attended her funeral. Donovan Richard, borough president of Queens. Those are the kind of people she got to coordinate with, get to know, and actually befriended her, And he spoke at her funeral, and he was the one that said that he's going to see how to get a street named after her. And later on, I followed up with him, and saying, so how do we do that? Exactly. How do we plan to get the street named after her? So he directed me to the city council, and I had to go through this. My representative for my area, her name is Julie Wong. She put me in touch with some of her staff members, and the process started. So the first thing they told me I had to do was submit something like a proposal that stated why I believe she should have a street named after her, which really wasn't difficult. I actually have part of what I kind of wrote to them as something I wanted to share at some point. But anyway, they, I had submitted a proposal, and in this thing, I gave a bio of who she was, and they, I don't know, it might be a good time to just share some of that, So what I had said to them was, what I wrote in her bio was that, all right, her name was April Lucille Taylor, Simpson Taylor, I'm sorry. She was born on January 24th, 1962. She often bragged about that she was literally born in Queensbridge, in her mother's bed, and then transported to Elmhurst Hospital of Queens. She was a lifelong resident of Queensbridge houses, and it became the neighborhood she came to love and adore. She loved her hood, she used to say. She graduated from public school 111, junior high school 204. She graduated from Long Island City High School. She later received her associate's degree from LaGuardia Community College, and then went on to pursue her bachelor's degree in social work at York College. But she fell short of a few credits because she started becoming ill. She had started to develop some health issues. In 2024, though, she was able to complete her CASAC training and receive credentialing in substance abuse from the resource group in Brooklyn. Thereafter, April was employed full-time as a substance abuse counselor at Samaritan Village. And she later was, promoted to a senior case manager. And but then she had to resign from that job after some years due to her failing health. But that didn't stop her, though. She became extremely active in doing community work. She worked with the Board of Elections as a poll site supervisor. In 2013, she was elected as president of the Tenant Association for the Queensbridge Houses, where she diligently served for 9 years.
Wow, she was there, and it's surprising to hear you say that, because it don't seem like it was that long. But
oh boy, it was.
I helped. Well, listen, I helped you. A lot of things that she did, I helped her with, especially in the beginning. Yeah, we
team.
Not just me, but a lot of people. But I was just saying, me.
No, you was involved.
I don't seem like it was 9 years. That I didn't. That's
he was reelected, and I hate to get into the politics of how they got her out of the office.
But we need to talk about that. To be honest with you, I don't mean to cut you off. Then I wanted to interview her about that when it happened, and I was kind of disappointed that she was reluctant to talk about that. But
let me show
I understood.
Let me show you how, because remember, she was still at this time dealing with some health issues.
Right. I didn't know how deeply it was at that time. I really
But
did.
check it out, her heart was there. So she what happened was, like I said, 9 years she served as resident association. She was, so every 3 years you have an election and you elect somebody. So that means she was re-elected 3 times.
Right.
So this third time she had somebody, a candidate against her, that they kind of play some dirty pool, you know. And I really don't want to throw names out because I don't want to be sued by anybody. You know,
You
I
don't
don't
have
know.
to. You don't have to state no names,
No,
but
no.
you can say what happened.
But so anyway, the person that ran up against her had some backing of, a person kind of pulling their strings and giving her information that wasn't really true. But she was challenging her with the legal department of New York City Housing Authority, who is in charge of overseeing all elections for all public housing developments when they elect their resident association boards. They oversee it closely. And they have a legal department that goes over your bylaws, everything. So anyway, what got April, what they did, she won the popular vote, right? Then at the election time, then they turned around and said it wasn't legal because someone accused her of being in the room during influencing people during the whole election process, which wasn't true. That was the first thing they came at her with. And then the next thing, she won the popular vote again, second time around. And then the next thing they said, they hit her with, someone got a hold of some bylaws, some old bylaws that had term limits in it, saying the Res Association can serve no more than 3 terms or something like that. And but we had no Res Association president, by the way, has this rule. They all did away with it, and we did too. The problem was the secretary that was at that time didn't keep good records, and we could not find the new bylaw that
Uh,
stated that in time enough for her not to be voted out. She literally just had to step down, and even though she won the popular vote, she was disqualified. And then, but she was allowed to run as the second, vice president. Which she did and won, but the president and her did not get along. First thing this president, one of the first meetings, I'm always in the background, Alan. You know that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I told her at the funeral, I said, behind every great man is a woman, but behind this
And
woman
and
was
behind a
me.
great woman is a great man.
Right. I was behind her. I was the biggest advocate, supporter, everything.
Yes,
And fought a lot of battles with her. And
absolutely.
so when that happened, I was there. And they had their first meeting, and this lady commenced to telling her that she has to turn over all her resources that she had. And April said there is no way in the world she was doing that, because that's ridiculous. Where's your resources? You're the president now. She worked 9 years to get the resources she had, the people she knew that used to give her money, funding. She's allowed to get money from the council people, councilmatic money from whoever the council person was. At the time, it was Jimmy Van Bramer, who no longer is the council person. But they worked together, and then any outside people, she had outside people, organization, specifically this family of rich people from New York City that used to come out to Queensbridge and help sponsor a lot of her events. So like this is what she was trying to get access to, but April wasn't. There's no way, that she was giving that up because this lady didn't earn it and didn't deserve it. She still to this day, she's been the president 3 years now, hasn't really, shown how she's established herself as a person that has Queensbridge at heart, finance, have people supporting. She never got any of those resources.
Well,
So it's up.
I'm gonna tell you something, Danny. And that's the reason why I definitely wanted you to do this.
Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
So this is the
I'm not answering. I don't never answer that phone. I should have turned it off. I should have turned
so
it off.
so this is the main reason why I definitely wanted you to do this because
Call from 718-586-4505.
I'm sorry, this is going on.
I don't really live in Queensbridge anymore, but
Yeah.
I'm out there all the well. I ain't been out there lately because I'm starting to have a few health problems also. But I still stay in touch with people out there. I still call you.
Mhm.
Still, I'm still aware of what's going on out there, and uh, because I have a son who had aspirations to play basketball at one point, we was out there and being involved with the basketball situation out there, which is dismal right now. And one of the things that I have and had a serious problem with is the fact that the basketball culture out there is crap. It's no basketball culture right now. They're having a problem putting together a Queensbridge basketball team for the upcoming tournament.
Let me
Uh,
let me let me stop you there because we're gonna get back to that. Because I
okay,
want to read the part where this all became into reality for us in Queensbridge. So in this thing, I'm getting ready to go into who she collaborated with. So as the Resident Association president, she collaborated with leaders and supported the mission of an organization called Social Justice Organization. Justice for All was the name of it. She also collaborated and co-founded New York Kids Rise. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a college program that helps kids get bank accounts so they can start building to their future, going to college. And they give them like $100, and then each month, they'll match whatever money they'll put into that account. That program started in Queensbridge, around in our little area, and in the schools in our area, and now it's citywide. So she helped found that program. All right.
really?
She also yeah, nobody knew that
No, no, me either.
one.
Me neither.
And April collaborated with closely with the former New York City councilman. I spoke about him, Jimmy Van Bramer. Um, she also collaborated with former Assemblywoman Kathy Nolan, Senator Michael Janaris, the city uh, the city council's office, Queensborough President Donovan Richard, Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz, who also came for her street naming. All those people came. Jimmy came, Donovan came, um, and Linda Katz came. That's the Queens District Attorney right now for the whole borough of Queens. And she also collaborated with the mayor's office and the governor's office. She walked Queensbridge during the pandemic when they had all those homeless people there with De Blasio trying to show him the condition, the problem with them putting all those homeless people right outside of Queensbridge. It looked like the Bowery, literally. It looked like he was on the Bowery,
Yeah,
bums
it did.
everywhere.
It was looking bad
It
for
was bad.
yeah, yeah.
She
It
got
definitely was.
him, and she got the commissioner of homeless services to walk around Queensbridge so they can see this.
See it for themselves.
However, however, it was what it was, the pandemic, and they didn't really do a lot to remedy it. Even to this day, it's still a big problem with this
Yeah,
immigrant situation.
yeah,
So, but anyway, those are the people. And she also collaborated very closely with the local law enforcement officers from the PSA 9 and 114. She got along great with them, and they
yeah,
got along great with us.
yeah,
It really felt like the old days when the cop was the beat cop because they knew you
yeah,
by your name and stuff like that.
yeah,
Them cops used to come out there, man, the PSA 9 specifically, and run programs with the kids, basketball, whatever, take them on trips to places. She started that. But
man.
here's the big thing. The big thing was um hold on, I'm gonna get back to more of her accolades, right? She was an active member of several community and civil rights organizations, including the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development. She was like on the board for that place. She was on the neighborhood advisory board for the NAACP, the Perkinson Advisory Board at LaGuardia College, and the Citywide Public Housing Board for Resident Association presidents citywide. She used to go to meetings and discuss things about public housing on the citywide level, not just for
Not
Queensbridge,
just for
right?
Queen. Listen, yeah, her name. Listen, when I have certain situations that I went through, and you know about it, and I brought up her name, it meant something. It rang bells.
People knew her. I was convinced one time we was at some fundraising in the city somewhere, and De Blasio was there. He was the mayor prior to the one we have, and she walks up to him and says, "Do you know who I am?" And he said, "Yeah, I know who you are, Miss Simpson."
I
I
remember
said,
you told me that.
"Oh
I
my
remember you
goodness.
told me
This is
that.
the mayor of New York City talking about, yeah, I know who you are, Miss Simpson." So
Yeah,
that's how much her
yeah,
impact she was having.
yeah,
What I heard was her name was definitely heard all downtown in public housing as
absolutely.
a resident association president that stood for her community and did the right thing with their money. She was always, she said, her books was an open book. She was always accountable for the funds that she said she raised and got.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
could show where they went to it. It always went back into the community. A lot of resident associations, presidents and stuff, boards could not do that. They couldn't show where all the money went to, you know. But anyway, and she was really close
Well,
with.
Danny, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Mm,
you got to kind of take some credit for that, right? Didn't you weren't you like responsible for that being like that? I mean, because you did that for the old timers committee. Like you was the person that kept that straight, kept our books straight with that. You know?
right. Well, I really, she had good treasurers that kept the books, the way it was supposed to be kept. And she was on point with it. 'Cause remember, she just got educated. She had an associate's degree, was on her way to a bachelor.
Okay,
So she
okay,
knew a little. She by this time she knew statistics and she knew stuff.
yeah.
So she knew how to make sure that everything checks and balances was correct. I would sit there if she had any questions, we would go over it together.
Well, I
But
know that
no,
for sure.
I had to still give her credit for that part.
Okay,
And
okay.
and then like, she also with was good friends with Letitia James, our current Attorney General. She when Letitia James was running, before she even started running, she used to come out to Queensbridge to campaign and hang out. When I say hang out, she didn't just come out here, shake a few hands, and then leave. She used to come out and hang out and go over to the senior program and sit down with them, have lunch and stuff. She used to
Really,
just hang. Yeah,
I never
a
knew
lot.
that.
A lot of people remember Letitia James, but she used to just come and just. She said she used to just hang with us like she
Like
was
she
from
was from Queen.
Queensbridge.
Yeah.
So when she actually ran and won, she won with Cuomo, the current Cuomo that's running for mayor. When he was governor, he won the governorship before he had to step down. But she and him had their inaugurations together, and she invited April to it because I was her plus one. And we actually went to the inauguration for Letitia James and Governor Cuomo at the time, which
Wow.
was like, wow,
How I missed that? I never you I don't understand how I ain't know about that. I'm trying to, I'm sitting here listening to you right now and I'm saying, now wait a
you,
minute, how I did not, you probably
yo,
told me and it probably just passed over my
you
head.
probably
Like,
couldn't even imagine it though. I mean,
yeah,
it was so
yeah,
much security. We had to go all the way to the Staten Island ferry because it was on what's that island over there? Dang, I can't think of our own island.
Rose, I mean
Ellis, is it
what the
Ellis
hell they
Island?
call it? Ellis, yeah, Ellis
Yeah.
Island.
So the inauguration was over there.
Wow.
And we had to go through this big security check on one side, and we got on the boat, and they boated us over to the other side.
Wow.
And we attended, and what's her name? Andrea Day was a singer there, opening singer. She sang one of her famous songs, one of her first songs.
Get
She
out of
was
here.
just coming up. Yeah, it was a fantastic thing. But moments like that, and I have pictures that I wish I could have shared even for this podcast.
You
Of
could have,
her,
you could have brought them out and
I know I have
yeah,
pictures of her with Letitia James at that same event, also shaking the who was the school chancellor at this time. Now he's the commissioner of the libraries. I forgot his name. A lot of pictures with different people that you know, like you would say, "Dang," and I would sit back in awe, just watch her. She was an expert person to know how to work a room, network with people.
yeah.
She would go around
I
and she
I
had
saw that.
like what you do, you know, what do you do? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they'll exchange business cards and
Uh
stuff.
huh.
And sure enough, she would get in touch with these people if she had any problem that they could help her with, you know. So
Well,
that's what she did
that's why I
very
every
well.
time I had an issue, and especially if it was with the city or something like that, I always consulted her and asked her what she thought, and she basically very rarely she didn't have a answer for me and somebody for me to contact to take care
Mhm.
of it.
The biggest thing that she did, and I'm gonna probably do that, and then we can. I'm hoping people by this time people are seeing why this lady has a sign named after her on 12th Street, 40th Avenue in Queensbridge Houses, Long Island City, New York. Um, I don't know if you remember this, but remember when they appointed a federal monitor to oversee NYCHA because of their issues of not fixing lead paint
Yeah,
and
yeah.
asbestos. That's still a problem to this day, right? They got this lead abatement people going around now making people move out of their apartment, putting them in hotels or other apartments temporarily so they can clean this lead. So they're still trying to clean the lead out of this place. But in the beginning, when they got busted, they was like forging the books or whatever happened about what they was doing to get rid of lead abatement, and they weren't really doing it. They appointed a federal monitor. And that federal monitor came out to Queensbridge on several occasions. Um, the first one, you know, they came out this when they had this lady that was spending the night in people's apartments. She actually spent the
Yeah, I
night in
remember
my
that.
apartment.
I remember that.
Yeah, she spent the night, and April took her on a tour of apartments that looked like third world, you know, tragedy apartments. I'm telling you, it was so grossed out. She took her to all these places, right? And and really, it didn't seem like a lot was done. Later on, this lady was found to be not. She was doing something, some kickbacks or something, and she got
She
fired.
wasn't competent. Wasn't she appointed by Trump? Didn't she? Wasn't she
Oh
appointed by
yes,
Trump?
yes,
Yo, she
the
was a
first
joke
one.
because I was at one of those meetings when April confronted her and was confronting them about that there, and it
Yeah.
was a joke.
The
It was
second
a joke.
time, she I don't know how she did this. Don't ask me because, like I said, she knew people. She was able to get News One, Earl Lewis, and Inside City Hall to moderate a meeting, a town hall meeting with the same federal monitor at this point, and a bunch of other people that was on the panel from NYCHA, right? Like main upper people from NYCHA was on this panel, and they had this meeting. And this is I sent you the film clip of her that News One did when she passed away. They honored her. I thought I sent that to you. I did, and
I don't know if I saw that.
it's a little piece that they did on News One when she passed away. Just saying that um, you know, just like really highlighting who she was and that she had passed away. It was a real nice piece. But in it, they do a clip of her at that meeting with the inside City Hall inside Reese Community Center. So they set up what you see on if you watch News One inside City Hall. They set that whole thing up inside Reese Center. They had cameras, big old cameras out front. It was broadcast, I guess, citywide, if not nationally. I don't know how far their reach is. I think they are syndicated. And and this thing was broadcast live from Reese Center in Queensbridge Houses. All right, that's how much respect they have for them. And they brought it there and Earl Lewis and Michelle Boone, who passed away, were there, right? But they were the main people, big known people on News Ones as newscasters. And Earl Lewis is still known because he's a good moderator when they have debates and stuff. Anyway, and she got up there. She said something to the effect that well, she was responding about repairs, how the repair process go. Like you could have a leak in your house, and I'm going through this, Alan, right now. You could have a leak in your house, right? They come in there, so they punch a hole in your wall to try to see where the leak is coming from, right? And
Uh-huh.
they try to fix the leak, and maybe they do fix the leak, right?
Uh-huh.
But then you gotta put in another ticket for the people to come patch up the hole that they just punched in your wall, right?
Yeah.
So she says you gotta wait another month for them to come and patch up the hole. And then you gotta put in another ticket and wait another month for them to come paint over the hole over the stuff they just did. And she said, and I'm being nice. She said, just like that, and I'm being nice because it takes way more than a month. She said, this is on this piece, and this was national, on TV at the time,
Yeah.
But it's the truth. I'm actually going through that. They punched a hole in my leak upstairs. They punched a hole over my tub. Big old thing. They put this cardboard with some duct tape that's coming to loose. And I put in a ticket for them to come plaster it back. The earliest date they gave me was September. I got to wait all the way September for them to come. This is a little square, hole on like it's not like it's a giant thing. I got to wait all the way September for them to come plaster it, and then the painters come in November. That's ridiculous, man. It's just tough, and it's still that way on a lot of things. So a lot with NYCHA has not really improved, and I really, I just don't know what would affect that whole federal monitor and stuff, So and now they talk about cutting funding and stuff. It's always been about funding, and I've always said that I can't even get mad at NYCHA because it's always been about funding. You recognize it when she was a joke and she came out here and Trump was cutting funding to public housing then.
Yeah.
And he's doing it again,
Yeah.
So they never really had a chance in the world to really get on top of this. They wanted to sell it, remember? They wanted
Yeah.
April brought that to our attention. She took us on a retreat to Maryland. It was a big uh, uh, forum on public housing. And it was a national forum on public housing. Public housing people from all over California, everywhere was at this place in Maryland, and it was there that I first heard this thing called RAD, and the guy presented it by saying you ever notice how they're building all these storage units everywhere, like in everybody's community, there's storage going up left and right, storage here. And that includes here. We got like 2-3 storages over here, right? He said that's because that's where you're going to be living.
Wow.
He said that's where you're going to be living. He went on to explain how they trying to privatize public housing, and
Yeah.
they're gonna fix all the problems. They're gonna fix all the problems with public housing, but they're gonna put you out, put you in the hotel, and you would have to have a pristine record of paying your rent, no trouble, nobody being arrested, your house being raided, none of that could happen because then you would end up back you wouldn't get back into the into your house. You wouldn't get back into public housing. Is this something you put up?
Yeah, I'm about to play it if you want.
That was the one Cuomo, right?
Yes, and Letitia James is in it. Cuomo's in it. Letitia James,
Uh,
Bob Lee is even in it, and you and April.
they look
Uh,
like Donovan Richards too, but I'm not sure.
you want
I
me
would
to
have
play it
to.
real quick?
Yeah, this is just an example,
Yeah,
just so
exactly.
you know that
That's
I'm
why I
not just
wanted to.
exaggerating.
That's why I wanted to do this. I said while you was talking, I was looking up. I was trying to find the one that you was talking about, but I said, you know
Yeah,
what, this will
yeah.
do.
This
All
was
right, so go ahead.
Governor Cuomo in Queensbridge with Letitia James. Dang, I forgot her name. She was a senator at the time.
This young lady, this lady right here.
The blonde one, yeah.
I forget her name too, but yeah, she was a senator, wasn't she?
Yeah, until they
and even the bishop is back there.
Yeah,
we got a lot of people in this shot.
That's right. Donovan Richard right behind Cuomo.
Okay,
and the other guy, I forgot his name, but all them people, you know, was standing there in Queensbridge. And let me see what they was talking about again. Is it playing?
I gotta get this together. Here we go. Oh, well, they ain't really talking. This is just kind of just music.
Oh, this is a picture, right? This is a picture.
Yeah, this is just kind of just music.
I don't remember recording this. Someone got a good shot. This probably heard it.
Damn, that's loud.
Yeah. Oh, Shawnee's in it next to me.
Say that again?
Shantae's in it next to me. That's Shantae Rucker.
Yeah, well, this is a good example of the kind of attention that she garnered. This is definitely
whatever the issue was, it had to believe me do with public housing, specifically what was going on in Queensbridge. I tell you that, and I forgot what Cuomo did, but he was, you know, a friend of ours initially. I'm gonna say initially because, you know, people change. It's like Benedict Arnold, you know, they just do a flip on you once they're in office. And,
yeah.
You know.
Well,
so, yeah, I don't think he was even elected yet. This might even still been when they were still campaigning for governor. I'm not sure though. But yeah, that's one of many. You know, like I said,
that's an amazing picture right there.
Yeah, I mean, considering you got the Attorney General. I invited her to the street naming, but she had something on her agenda. She did send message she couldn't attend because she's trying to defend herself against Trump right now.
Yeah, so man, that's insane, man. Like I'm still trying to wrap my head around how did people vote this dude back in? Man? he didn't do it job the first time. I don't care what nobody says. You can tell all the nonsense you want, but yo, he wasn't a good president the first time, and y'all decided to do this shit again. It's insane.
Yeah, let me tell you, I posted something. Somebody we had to remind, just in case you had forgot what he had did this first term, and he commenced to posting all the damage he did the first time. And he said, so this is somebody that, you know, at the end, pretty much he's saying, so this is who you want as the president again? You know, like, really, you know, and that's the truth. And once he, like, started showing all the things, it's not something I did not know. I may not remember every little detail, but I know for me, it was like one of those errors that was just totally messed up, you know, like I was struggling. And I always tell people, I managed to survive, but I was struggling during the first Trump administration, and I probably learned how to survive this one, you know, if I'm blessed, you know, enough. But I mean, no matter what, we're gonna survive because we as a people, that's what we do.
Exactly.
You know, black folks know how to survive. Maybe these white folks ain't gonna know how to do it, but I'm just confident our people is gonna find a way. We find a way and a no way on how to survive. You know, look, we survived slavery, we survived Jim Crow, we survived stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's not be confused on who we are as a people. You know, we know how to deal with adversity, you know. I see in your background you got that power plant, right?
Yeah, well, no, this is just YouTube that I'm going through. It's just YouTube that I'm going through.
I want to share with you what April did with the power plant people. So I
can have you share if you got it on your screen or something. I can let you share your screen. Oh,
I don't have any picture like that, but you know what the smokestacks look like,
right?
I was saying I see the bottom of it. I happen to know that like the back of my hand because of April,
right?
Because she somehow, like, it just amazed me how she networked, but she got to meet this guy who's the CEO of that power plant, which now is called Rise, Light, and Power, and that whole station is called Ravenswood Station. That's the name of the station, but the power plant, you know how it used to be Con Ed,
Yeah,
Keyspan. Now
yeah.
it's called Rise, Light, and Power, right?
Get out of here.
So the CEO, his name is Clint. Um, he's the CEO of the power plant, right? She started networking with him on bringing stuff to Queensbridge, right? He used to come. He used to give us turkeys. He still does this, and he does a Christmas toy giveaway right in
Yeah,
front
I
of the
remember
power
that.
plant.
Yeah,
So he's always kind of like wanted to give to this community. But the most thing I like about him is that he was always a friend of trying to convert to clean energy. And he took me on the tour. When she passed away, he reached out to me still, and he said, "I hope I could still, um, reach out to you and help, have you be on our committees, when we start this process of trying to advocate for clean energy." So I've been on a couple of meetings on that very power plant and toured it, and he showed us what they're burning now. It's a very low grade of fossil fuel, but it's fossil fuel nevertheless. And just so you know the history, this place used to burn coal, and then it switched to pure fossil fuel, and it was just totally polluting all these houses you see right here, all this community
yeah.
on the
You
other
know
side.
what, Danny? I keep saying it, and you was just talking about that asbestos thing.
Right. Well, we got so
And
much stuff against us.
listen, I don't remember when we was kids. Listen, we grew up through all that shit,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that asbestos, all that lead. The
Yeah.
power plant used to put out some of the nastiest smelling shit, smoke sometime every now and
But
then.
we also have a high, like, fatality rate in certain things. We have high incidence of cancer. The kids are suffering from asthma. They call this asthma alley. From
Danny,
here all the way
Danny,
down to Marine
I'm here,
Terrace. It's called.
and the thing I'm saying is that was going on when we was kids, but I didn't hear about it, never saw it, or
No.
nothing, because you know,
All of a sudden, global warming came out of nowhere, right? And then everybody started paying attention
environment,
to
to the
the
environment.
environment, right? And so it became an issue. Then you had like a lot of organizations that was fighting for clean energy. And so it came a long way. I'm gonna tell you the truth. We just went a whole way, and I hate to get back to this Trump guy, but we just took a whole bunch of steps backwards. This guy with this plant, we went all the way to Albany, and we won this bill called the Jetta bill. It's Just Clean Energy bill, whatever it was. And the governor, who's the governor now, Hochul, they allocated a lot of money to continue to try to convert this plant and other plants like it into. Are we cut off?
Go ahead. I'm not.
Oh, you can still hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah. They want to convert it to clean energy, which is wind energy. So in the Atlantic Ocean, they have wind farms, right? Those big propeller things you
yeah.
see. They're right now as we speak. They're wind farms in the Atlantic, and they have this long conduit they run to these substations. One of the substations, the biggest one, was supposed to be in Brooklyn. There's not too many places on the river side, on the banks of the rivers, even the Hudson or any of that. There's not a lot of places because they just develop. There's a lot of housing and stuff, so there's not a lot of space to put these big generators that they have to build, right?
Right,
To harness the clean energy, right?
right.
And then from that generator, another conduit was going to come down the East River to our plant and connect to a bunch of a bunch of transformers that they was gonna build next to the stacks. There's a whole area right by the side of the Roosevelt Island Bridge. You'll see these things. They was tearing all that down. They was gonna put these generators there, and that was gonna power the entire city. Right. That way, we was even planning to take down the stacks event where we was gonna, they was gonna take those stacks down.
Yeah, I heard that at one time.
Right. So now, with Trump's appointment of idiots in his cabinet, he has one also for this environmental thing, and they actually just cut the funding or trying to cut the funding, even though a lot of money's been invested in this. He's trying to cut the funding to the building of that actual that place in Brooklyn. It was a huge plant that was gonna. It was just a big battery, where they was gonna plug in from the wind farms into this thing, and this thing was gonna feed Jersey, feed us, and that's crazy. Right now, it's up in the air. We don't know what's gonna happen. They're really fighting to try to continue this because we're talking about our environment. But you remember, we're dealing with someone that don't think there's global warming. He don't think nothing. You know.
No,
But this so he's not. He
it's
don't
not.
have the
It's not that
capacity.
he don't think. If he don't see him making no money off it, he don't care.
But look, he does, and that's what's really crazy to me because if you're destroying the environment, how's that benefiting you? When you raising all these damn tariffs, how's that benefiting you? Eventually, the economy's gonna go. It's gonna crash.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how does that benefit you? It's like I know why because he's purposely trying to take control.
right.
He wants to have control to the point where he'll crash the economy and then make it a whole different type of system. His system, like a communist system, you know. And I'm telling you, boy, he's trying hard right now. He's really got us, backing up. He's doing so many things at the same time. We don't know what to attack first, and he's overwhelming the court system. He's overwhelming everything with
Well,
all
that's
these things
that's the
he's
whole
doing.
purpose. That's the whole purpose.
Exactly.
That's the
So
whole
I don't know.
purpose.
Like I say we're gonna survive, but we got, people got to come out and stand up against this, But
Yeah.
that's exactly what he's doing right now. And look, if you think it's hard now, boy, live under a system like that, you know. Live when they're telling you how many kids you could have, or how much school you can get, or you know, welfare is non-existent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like live under that. So anyway, April was on that board, and now I'm still on it. They just had Earth Day, the day of her street naming. They had Earth Day at the same time. I usually speak at Earth Day. I did it last year on her behalf. This year they wanted to collaborate with us during her event, and we did. They was in the gym. We was downstairs. We had our event, and then afterwards, people were able to go up to the gym. But we went to the sign first. We built it, and then we came back to the gym. He had his thing going on. Then his ended at 3, and then we continued up until 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. We continued our event, where we just sat around socializing. It was really nice, and the weather cooperated. That's the main thing. The weather, was supposed to rain. They were supposed to be in the park, but they thought it was going to rain, but it never really, really rained.
Yeah,
Not until
I
later that
saw
night.
that, and I was like I said to you, you know, I was feeling bad, and I thought it was going to continue to rain, and so I laid down, and next thing I know, it's 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I missed that thing,
Yo,
and I
Al,
said,
at 5 o'clock, it had to be 4:35. The sun came out beaming. It was
yeah,
like bright and sunny. Everybody was hanging out front. It looked like a reunion. They was hanging out in front of the sun. This is all for her. We had over, I want to say close to, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, maybe 175, 200 people show up for the street naming. And then that's not counting the dignitaries. At the actual event for her was the borough president, the deputy borough president, Ebony Young, um, Jimmy Van Bramer came. We had um, Senator Gonzalez. She's our current senator for our area. She showed up. April never even got a chance to meet her, but she knows me. And everybody knows April. I gotta say, her reputation does precede her.
yes,
And
yo, there's no doubt about that.
yeah.
There's
So
no
now
doubt
she's
about
got the
that.
street sign, right? And let me tell you, a street sign. I tell you that to get the street sign, I put in that bio. I read most of that, not all of it, but I put in that bio about her and the people she collaborated and worked with. They were, I got some of them to vouch, send in recommendations because you're supposed to have like somebody to give you a recommendation on her behalf. So I had Donovan and her friend from Plaxo. This is one of those rich families. They wrote these accommodations for her. Recommendations for her to have the street sign. And so after all that was said and done, it's sent to the entire city council, not just our area. The entire city council votes on this thing. So it's brought before the city council. It's like any law, right? Any bill. It goes like a bill. It goes before the city council. They review it to see the merits of it. Then they vote on it. Like they view it. They viewed it in November, and then the next session in December they voted on it and they passed it. So it's like a law. So that street sign that they named after her is up there by law, and if it even falls or gets damaged, they got to replace it. So, it's just amazing. I didn't know all of this when I went into this about street signs, but it's a lot, and they take it real serious. And city council was the one at this meeting to present the whole thing. The city council representative was the one, Julie Wong, that kind of, presented the whole thing although I was the host kind of and I introduced everybody. It was them that was responsible for getting that sign made, for presenting it. They presented me with a copy of the sign itself. That's what you're seeing right there. I got that in my house right now to hang up on my wall forever. But it says April Simpson Taylor Way is the name of the street, and that's the real sign that's up on the pole. And I get a copy of that same sign.
Danny, that's an amazing thing, man. That it really is, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Let me tell you, this room was packed. It was a little hot because it was supposed to be outside, but then the city council people was getting nervous because they heard in forecast thunder and lightning. They heard it was supposed to be lightning and thunder and stuff. And none of that happened, but we were supposed to be outside in the back on the courts.
Yeah.
On the basketball courts. I didn't get to say that. Getting back to, this is like a full circle now, right? Back to your conversation about basketball. So there was a point, right, where no basketball was being conducted in Queensbridge anywhere, right? They didn't allow it. NYCHA, who is the property owners, didn't allow us to have basketball tournaments no more because you had to be insured.
And the insurance was high as hell.
Insurance was crazy. So you needed liability and you needed child molestation insurance, which was like almost $10,000, $15,000. I don't know how much it is today, but it's very expensive. And she was able to get somebody to get her that insurance and sponsor her. That's, people with money. She just knew people in they say in high places that had money. And they sponsored her very first Queensbridge very first youth basketball tournament, summer tournament in a long time. I can't even remember what the last time it was. And before they actually, the tournament started, but then she was able to win some councilmatic money. She bid it on the participatory money.
Yeah.
To have all the parks, basketball courts renovated. Specifically, that one behind the Recenter,
10th Street.
She had it renovated in a way it looks just like a real basketball. It has a score clock.
It is really nice right now.
It has bleachers and the whole nine, right? So that's what she was able to do. And then all the basketball courts on all the blocks, got all the ones that had basketball courts. They also got renovated.
Yeah, got fixed up
with the same funding.
But Danny, I don't mean to cut you off, but like since we're talking about this, and that's what I was going to say is that the next person to come in totally dropped the ball. because the last 3 years it's been it
It's
ain't
been
been
net.
nothing. It's been
It's
all
been
over the
net.
place. It's a game one day it's not. It's a schedule this one is played like you don't from one
So
day
when
to
you
next you don't.
present this, when you present your tournament, right, to whoever night, I don't know who proves this, because you got to also get the police to be on board with it. But she elected her own son as the commissioner,
Yeah,
and that did not work
yeah,
out
not at
at
all,
all.
not
Because
at
he
all.
don't know how to get out. He don't know how to talk to people. He don't know how to get along with people. So that was a disaster. And that's one of the things that fell through. And then you had a game sometimes here, games. Carl Austin was, wanted to run it, but I guess he don't he clashes with her. She want to have control. She's one of those one that
Well,
want to
you
be
you
control.
you you ain't saying it, but you know why that didn't work and wasn't going to work. To
No,
be honest with you, and
because the
and
one people that like like Carl, who knows the kids, he does a lot of things. He does a separate thing with the kids when he take them to camp, takes them on trips. He works with kids in that community, and a lot of parents know him, a lot of kids know him. He would have been the ideal person to let run that, and April was trying to do that. Actually, she did do that when she before she lost her position. That summer, Carr was in charge of all of that, and it was a pretty good tournament that summer too.
well, I gotta be yeah. Before that's what I wanted to say because after she left, it wasn't nothing. It was shit. I didn't
Yeah.
know Carl was that much involved with it before
Yeah, just
before she left.
before that, it was Trent. He was the commissioner. If not him, no, it was a Sincere was the commissioner, and Trent was like a coach or something. But he was very much involved too. Maybe a co-commissioner, but it was. I know it was Sincere and Trent, and they kind of did the first tournaments. I think there was two of them, 2 years in a row, and then Carl took over the other one because something happened with Trent or whatever. Oh, he went his, you know what he's doing. Yeah, I think he went a separate way or something.
Well,
And
that's like that's what I have an issue with right now is because everybody's not on the same page,
right,
and everybody like I was talking about the tournament that they had coming up and it being better and making sure that it had a Queensbridge team and an actual team from Queensbridge in a Queensbridge tournament, which
right,
last year that wasn't the case.
no,
And I don't understand why that is. And I've been talking to some people now, and but I get that it's a lot harder than it because I got in contact with the city. As a matter of fact, the city handles when people need to use public facilities like schools, gyms, and stuff like that. They have a department that handles that.
right.
So I emailed them like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I still ain't heard jack from them, which I'm not surprised. But I see now because that's the ball rolling. Like if you don't have places to have games and have tournaments and the practice and stuff like that, you can't really put together a AAU team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what needs to happen. Queensbridge should have its own AAU team. There's no reason in the world why Queensbridge doesn't have an AAU team. We've always had a city league or AAU team going because I played on one with Hank Carter, so I know they existed. I know we always had one, and we don't now. And
I mean, like I said, part of the reason was, how they came up with these regulations because of violence that happened on basketball courts, unfortunately. You had what's his name's daughter that got shot uptown, but all of that had an impact citywide on how come you weren't allowed to just have these teams, And I think that put a damper on it for a while. But right now, like I said, there is opportunity for all people who are working together to have it, and then to have people sponsor. The last thing April did with that last tournament, I think Carl was in charge of, was she had Amazon sponsor the uniforms and everything. They paid for
oh,
all the uniforms and everything. Um, you know, and then they had this is when they was moved to where the old Pet Boys used to be. They had put a site there. She met the president of that particular site, and they sponsored the tournament. They made
Oh wait,
T-shirts.
hold up, Danny, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon is where Pep Boys now. Amazon got
It was. It was. They became. This is just before the pandemic. So
Oh, that was
yeah,
the thing they was talking about.
yeah. They,
That if they came and didn't offer a certain amount of jobs to people in the community,
no.
like
That was over there on Vernon, where the Department of Education is. So all
yeah,
that area over there is called Animal Basin, right? You
yeah,
came? Did you come to my You came to my retirement and age of
yeah,
60.
yeah, absolutely,
So that whole area, that lady that owns that Sound River studio, her name is Paula Kirby.
yeah,
Her family owns all of that property. So they were in negotiation with Amazon to build his corporate office on a property where the current um, Department of Education has a storage, some sort of storage building. It's big. It's right
yeah.
on 44th Drive.
I
So,
know. Old boy supposedly did a protest trying to get
right,
the public
exactly.
housing. Yeah, I
So,
know exactly what you're
so they
talking.
always had these plans for that building. I attended something else. I don't want to get into that. It was a zoning. They want to rezone that whole area, and they promised to build this and promised to build that. And I said, none of those promises mean anything to Queensbridge. You promised us a lot. You build all of Queens Plaza, all nice and stuff. I said, I don't know nobody that works on Queens Plaza. I don't know nobody that
Yo,
works in any of these
Danny,
hotels.
Danny, I don't know nobody that works on across the street on 21st Street where they done
Exactly,
made that all beautiful.
exactly,
I don't know nobody
exactly.
that owns
And that was
anything
part of
over
the
there or that works over there.
That's part of the rezoning. So you got to pay attention. It's unfortunate that a lot of these community people, and look, the current resident association president was scheduled to speak at that meeting about that rezoning stuff, and Sugar Ray was too. But when they called their names, I signed in late, so I sat there and I waited. I waited for them to call me. Right when they called them, they weren't there. They had whatever. They had hung up. They didn't stay on the Zoom. I got on. It was 5:30, and they called me. It started at 2. 5:30, they called my name, and that's when I made the comment that I've lived out there all my life, right? And I've always had hopes of all this redevelopment that it would benefit us. And I said, and all the time that I've been here, I said, none of this rezoning, none of this rebuilding ever benefited us. They building hotels everywhere. I said, I don't know nobody that works in a hotel, lives in one of these buildings. I said, I don't know anybody. I said, and I know a lot of people.
Yes,
I said, I
yes,
know a lot of people out in Queensbridge. None
yes.
of us. The park, all they was interested in is building a promenade to go from down the new Long Island City, as we call it, which is Gantry Park, all the way. They want to do a whole promenade like Brooklyn, where you could run from, for miles down the East River to all the way down to Marine Terrace or something. I don't know, but that's what they want to spend money on. I said, no, you don't want to fix up our housing. You don't want to help us get jobs. You don't want to do none of that. I said, so no, I've never seen the benefit. I don't think the person that invited me, I don't think they expected me to say none of this either. But, they wanted me to encourage them to build so we can get jobs. I said, we'll never get benefits
Don't
from
we
this.
ever get the
Never.
jobs?
I said, I'll just forgive me if I'm not convinced that by you rebuilding over there, that it's going to open up any opportunity for us on the other
Danny,
side of that
let
too.
me tell you something, because I did a little short video on this very subject, and there's someone that has a developed has a investment corporation called Queensbridge Investments, and they've had it for since 2013.
Mm.
And none of that money, as far as I know, now I might be wrong, and I ask people to tell me if I'm wrong. I have not seen that company invest any money in Queensbridge because I never seen no sign say this is a Queensbridge Investment Corporation project, so and so, whatever. I've never seen it nowhere
And if you
in
ever
Long
seen
Island
it,
City. Huh?
If you haven't seen it, then that's probably true. Because we can still speak to April, being a resident social. She ain't. I have never heard of it, and I know they never could.
But it exists, and if I tell you, if you look it up, I'm not going to, because I don't like to talk about nobody that's not here to defend themselves.
Right.
If you look it up, you'll see who owns it,
but that's like that separate group we had for our organization. We found out there was another Queensbridge, old timers in California somewhere. They wasn't even near Queensbridge, but they was allowed to act like they was part of us.
From Queen. Wow.
All of a sudden, remember they would plan these. It seemed like around every time we planned something, they would plan something.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, but I have the same issue with my company. There's a Jamaican company that uses my name. They can't use the website or nothing like that because I have it. I own it, but they using my name.
That's cool.
And I contacted them quite a few years ago. Told them like, yo, we could talk about this. Maybe you want to buy the URL for me or something like that. And then y'all could just run with that. But I suggest that y'all can't use the website. Because I have the .org, .net, .com, .org, everything. So what are y'all doing? They never got back in touch with me, but they need to know if they ever, they must not be but they need to know if they ever really do become famous. I'm gonna sue because I gave y'all an opportunity. So that goes on.
Yeah, a lot. And it's still, it's like back to this. It's part of what April struggled with. Trying to unite. Remember, we changed our name to Queensbridge United.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Trying to unite these organizations, NAACP.
Get everybody on the same page.
If we had united in any form of fashion, like right now, say if we were all united, I ain't even got to say, how powerful of a voice we would have.
I told somebody the other day,
is the largest development in the nation.
Not only that,
nothing bigger than us.
We developed the most athletes, stars. There's the most influence. Listen, I told somebody said, 41st side of Vernon got the most history, and I'm like, nah, bro. Let me explain something to you. I could just interview 2 or 3 people from just 41st side of Queens, but I've already have that has more history. I said, I just interviewed Ray Martin, and Ray Martin's been part of the 3 biggest upsets in college basketball history.
Right.
The 3 biggest upsets in college basketball history, he either was a player or he was a coach. All right. I interviewed Bernard Fowler. He's the lead singer and been one of the lead singers for one of the greatest rock bands in history, the Rolling Stones. Like, what are you talking about? And that's just 2 people. Don't let me continue to go on. Let's not talk about
Johnson.
I'm just saying that's 40. That's a 40 side. I'm talking about just the 41st side.
Let's talk about Charles Smalls then.
Right. What's that little guy from Gary's building? He played the Nerds. Wendell Scott.
Right.
Whatever's the Scott kid.
One
of the very first. People don't know.
Nobody don't know. Charles Smalls wrote the score to the black version of the Wiz.
Right.
Which is still on Broadway.
His mother lived on 12th Street. Right.
Right. Yeah. That's
right.
where he grew up at. And he wrote the score to the Wiz. And they still use that music to this day. They had to play. I went to see it, and I was just so proud. They still use his music. He's in that Bill play. Music by Charlie Smalls. Yeah, that's Queensbridge.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's so many legends been through Queensbridge, like and like I said, the 41st side of 10th Street. Forget about it. You know what I'm saying? And that is look at what's the name? What's the name's father just won? Just put in the Boxing Hall of Fame, New York City Boxing Hall of Fame. Dunn's father.
Yeah.
Dunn. I can't remember his first name. I haven't seen him on, but Dunn. You know Dunn.
Yeah.
Yeah. His father. His father just got inducted into the New York City Boxing Hall of Fame. Like things like that. Like we could go down the line.
And
But
like
I
even
want to
now,
play this video a little bit, if you don't mind.
this is what the presentation
Yeah, I while
is the
you was
video.
talking, I went through a lot of a lot of trouble to pull it up. Yeah.
Yeah, this is me. This is me. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let me get it to rolling. Time I have trouble setting this stuff up. I thought I had it ready to go. Man, that goes best laid plans of mice and men oft time go astray.
Right.
Let me see if I can play it from here now.
Is it a video? Oh, it is a video.
Yeah, it's a video. It's you in the
There
center.
you go.
What I missed.
There you go. It's running.
The neighborhood she grew to love with all her heart.
Oh, I was reading that thing I just read
One
you.
of the most important memories I do have. I'm not gonna keep it up here long because none of my mother sleeps. I'm not right.
That's her son, Adam.
Yeah.
I remember
Grayson.
every Christmas presents.
I'm so mad I missed this. I like it bothers me every day. That's why I'm so glad.
If all of the elected officials can come forward, including former Councilmember Jimmy Van Bramer, it is our honor as the City of New York to award Mr. Boo Daniel Simpson Taylor or Mr. April
He said boo.
Pookie.
Pookie.
The street sign, April Simpson Taylor Way.
That's crazy. Oh, here we go.
Right now, man. Right now.
April Simpson Taylor Way. There's a lot of people there.
On April, Simpson Taylor Way. How many people can look up at a street sign and say, yeah, I know who that is. Born and raised in Queensbridge, just like me.
I like the way he did that.
Yeah, that's my nephew now.
You know
For
that.
real,
You know it. You know it.
On the in-law side, wasn't
know
her
it.
nephew.
You know it.
But that was my first wife's nephew.
Yeah.
That's my mother. But
Yeah.
he loved April. Let me tell you, April helped him a lot because he had this food thing, and they used to always arrest him because he was doing his chicken wings on the corner. Right, he started out in the corner in Queensbridge selling chicken wings and stuff.
Selling chicken wings,
and you had to love him, because dumb people were going crazy. But I even
he made some good. He makes some good food. He makes some good.
I was mad that.
Even if I wasn't hungry, I was going to buy something from him.
I felt bad because he wanted. I guess he felt kind of weird. I didn't ask him to cater my event. I said because I wasn't paying for it. Whoever paid for it, which was that Rise Light and Power people paid for.
Yeah,
they helped pay for a funeral. They helped pay for that event that I had in the center. They catered all the food for me. They bought us T-shirts.
Wow,
that's how much they loved her,
Wow.
So just in case, and she ain't even here no more. They ain't got a front, but they really truly love her. They love Queensbridge, and
whoever's running that, they real.
It's a team of them. I've been like really, connecting with them, and who else is part of it? Rodney Askin, Crazy Rodney.
Yeah, I speak to him every now and then because I was hoping, like I said, I was hoping my son was going to pursue a basketball career. So I was getting in touch with everybody. Even like I said, that's why I did that thing with Raymond, because I wanted to be in touch with him to make sure that my son would have all the opportunities
Well, all we
all
could do, Al, like I said, is just to keep talking about it like we're doing right now. Hopefully, people will hear or see and have some suggestions, some way we can get around. Like I always say, like although like these people like say they were in power, and that if we got together as a people, we could also depower. We could make them step down or whatever, or put the pressure on them to comply with what it is that we want as a community, and not what they want for us. And that's what happens with that current administration. A lot of times, I say, we used to call Family Day.
yeah,
Family Day, right? It used
yeah,
to be Family Day when
yeah,
April, and that's the first person I ever saw put a wrestling ring in the middle of a street
yeah,
in a project.
yeah. She
She had
did
and had
that.
real
Wrestlers out there
professional
wrestling.
wrestlers
I got video of
wrestling.
that. I got video of that. I
Like she
got
did
video of
some
that.
amazing stuff that amazed me even. Like she made those kind of connections. Her and Eric Cooper was working on that one because he knows people. But
Yeah,
that was amazing. But yeah, like those were family days. What they're having now is not family day. I call it I ain't throwing now Bishop XYZ Day. And you know who the XYZ
yeah,
stands for.
yeah. And you
That's
know
what I
what's so
call it.
funny, Danny? You know that there's a strong connection between me and the bishop and his family and my family.
Well, I know that.
Uh,
I know.
that picture I post of my mother and me as little kids on Easter. That picture I posted again this year around Easter. I don't celebrate Easter, but I posted that picture because that's a great picture. But that picture was taken outside his father's church, the
Right.
church that my mother helped his father build. And
You
the
know,
Darby, my
and you
mother,
know,
the Darbies, and all them. So
my daughter
he is
Anastasia.
actually he's he's actually legitimately my Tony's god brother. He's Tony's god brother,
Yeah.
and the bishop was Tony's godfather. The bishop, his father was Tony's godfather. So, and like I said, my mother helped build that church. That it wouldn't what's there now on 41st Avenue wouldn't be there if my mother didn't help start what was around the corner on 12th Street.
That little joint in the basement, because the Burgesses also was
Right.
part
Yeah,
of that.
yep. Them too.
So
That's my mother.
my
We were
daughter.
tight. We were tight with them too. Our family would
Right.
at one time was
Exactly.
really tight with the Burgesses too.
And that's why I think we used to always give them benefits of the doubt and all of that. But I mean, even with this street naming thing, right? I sent everybody appeared to have got my save the date that I sent to everybody. I sent word to him to one of his people's moose. I sent word to him letting him know this was going being planned and it's going to happen. Would he be willing to participate? I didn't get no word from him, no call or nothing, and he has my phone number. So, and as I have his, so eventually I hit him up. This is like almost maybe a couple of weeks before the actual event. I hit him up and said to him, "Are you had for one the city council was supposed to get in touch with a lot of these people and and asked them and let them know that I wish I invited them to come, right?" So I called. I said, "So did you hear from the city council?" He says, "No," and then he commenced to say, "Well, I wish you would have told me something earlier, right?" Now I started this. I don't know when you got your invite, but I started that whole thing out mad. As soon as they voted
Yeah,
on it, and
yeah,
I was told
yeah. It
that
was
it was
plenty
going
of
to happen.
time. You let people know plenty of time.
Only thing I didn't know was the date. Once that date was set, everybody got an invite, including him and several of them. It wasn't like I just did one. I resent them, and then I text him, and he gonna tell me, "Well, I wish you would have told me sooner because I got this thing in Florida." I said, "Well, that's okay." I says, "But this, realize from now on, when you come to on Sunday when you come to church, April's gonna be looking right at you."
Oh, it's right. It's right on that corner. Wow.
I said, "April will be looking right at you, bro."
I didn't really know. Yo, okay. Yo,
That's why I put it there because it's a main thoroughbred Everybody, you cannot come down that avenue. I don't care if you go to barbershop, Wong's, old Chinese restaurant,
Without seeing her name.
bodega, laundromat. If you're going to the Dominican restaurant, I don't care where you're going. You gotta pass April Simpson Way.
That's crazy.
And somebody pointed out that the one way sign is right under it. Said April Simpson Way that way to the avenue.
Yo, Danny, man,
Yo, that's
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you decided to do this. You did this.
Yeah,
I mean,
this was a very important move for me. I had told you I wanted to explain how this for me this was closure, because I this was people say the love of your life. She was everything, my best friend, everything, and I had to even seek therapy when she passed because I knew I'm a therapist myself, so I know what this was doing to me as far as grief wise. So I had a therapist, and the only thing I could share with the therapist that hurts the most is that I realized once I retired, right, from my job, I worked for the Office of Mental Health for 10 years, man. I was just helping other people, mentally ill people. But then when I retired, I realized my whole life was about her. Now I was focused on her. I was caring for her. I was her Uber driver, her cook, her home attendant, everything. Even though she had a home attendant, I was everything to her. I did everything for her. And I said I realized that everything I was doing was for her. So when she's
yo,
gone,
that's
when
man.
Stacy's gone, I'm saying,
What do you
I was
do?
like
What do you
stuck.
do?
Yeah,
What do
I
you do?
was stuck.
What do you do?
That's when I made the decision to try to move on and out of Queensbridge, and I try to because it wasn't always a dream of mine to eventually, especially upon retirement, to move away and get a house somewhere, wherever it was, a house, apartment, but to leave Queensbridge. So when I was sitting there and I said, I had called these people and said, to find out how to start the project. I started it with her. And I said that she's now passed. How do I continue just by myself as a single person? And and they showed me, and I had to resubmit some applications, and I started that whole process all over again of trying to be a home buyer, and I'm pretty close to it now. I switched directions from that to the VA because I'm a veteran, but it's a good possibility by the end of June, early July that I'll be closing on this house that I have my eyes set on in North Carolina. So I'm ready to go settle down there. I got family. I got my daughter. I got Gregory,
Yeah,
grandchildren galore. Got Thea down there. Got
yeah,
Earl right down there. That's my boy.
yeah.
I
You got
got
my daughter and her mother. If
yeah.
they ain't acting crazy, but I mean, well, I ain't
I
gonna say
got
they. If she, I ain't
she
gonna say
yeah.
nothing. No. You know what? Whatever.
But when I
She's
go
down
there,
there. She down there.
man, I show nothing but love. I go looking for her. I don't care what. It's like this unconditional
As you
kind.
should. As you should.
That's unconditional. I don't care what you believe, because they have, in their minds, they got you this is like my father. You my father's friend or whatever. They'll try to associate you with some crap. But either way, baby, it don't matter because guess what? I still love you,
Hey.
and that's special, and that's individual, and that's just me. And I always show her love. I don't really feed into none of that. I go so Jane, just like I see Jane, and and even though she's in the way she is, I still kiss her and hug her up, and and that's just it, man.
Yeah.
We gotta appreciate each
Yo,
other,
you gotta
man.
figure what? I'm 50, we've known them people and dealt with them people in some shape or fashion for over 50 years, bro.
Yeah.
So you can't my daughter's 50 or a little bit over 50. So it's over 50 years. Because my
Yeah.
daughter's 50 and we were hanging out and doing things before my daughter was born. So and
That's right.
and
Yeah, it's a
I
lot
show
of
pictures
years.
all the time. Like sometimes it bothers me that people try to talk about Queens like Queensbridge just started when they were born or when they came outside.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, yo, you have no idea. You
Yeah,
have
like they did
no
something
idea.
special.
Yeah.
They think they
And
doing something special. man.
Yeah,
We've been
and
there.
and sometimes it gets to me, and then I look at it saying, well, that's all they know. They only
Yeah.
know what they know. They only know
Exactly.
when they came outside. They only know when you know
I'm
of their
doing a
era.
interview like this for somebody. I got to call him. I'm glad I just thought of this because I'm supposed to be doing an interview to put what I'm doing with you in the archive. Queensbridge has an archive in LaGuardia College. It has an archive of a lot of stuff,
Really?
videos. Yeah, I've been tempted. I haven't been tempted. I've been meaning to go just to because I did something before, maybe several things for the archive. So I'm supposed to be doing something like this because of the street name. And they
Right.
wanted me to do something to put into the archives so that
Yeah.
people eventually, if they ever go to LaGuardia College, Queensbridge Archives, there's a whole history of stuff that you're going to learn about Queensbridge. Not that stuff like the movie half-ass put out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to be a more
Yeah.
thorough. There's information there. There's more videos of people talking and interviews. Yeah, when I grew up, this is how it was. You know, it's a lot of those. Because I put a couple of
Listen,
those in there.
Dad, like I said, I just responded to something that Black just said about 41st side having more history, and
Yeah.
I'm saying like, bruh, the 41st side of Vernon wasn't even the first block that was built. So like,
No,
what are you talking about?
exactly.
What kind of history are you talking about?
Talking
Because
about.
I don't understand. You know, and he kind of got offended by it, and I'm saying, bruh, but you know,
You know,
facts is
do
fact.
do your
If you make a,
research, man.
he
Yeah.
gonna tell me I didn't understand what he was saying. Like I was reading too much into it. I said, well, bruh, if you make a statement and I got to be a rocket scientist to figure it out, maybe it's not such a good statement. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
not at all.
Yeah,
And then just to say one block is better than the other when it goes to that crap anyway. It's
exactly. If
denying
you
what.
say it's not a competition, I
Yeah.
said, yeah, it's not. But you made the competition when you said that
Yeah.
31st side of Vernon have more history than any other
Then
block.
that block.
You
Yeah.
made it a competition. You gonna say it's not
Exactly.
a competition? I said you made it a competition.
Yeah. I remember running into some college students, that was going to Queensbridge. So my first thing is like, like, what did you hear about, this place? I was really curious to pick what they heard about this place that you're looking at. Like, to the fact, let's not just, talk about Nas because we all know Nas is from here. But what had you heard, and they commenced to bring up the reputation, of course, that Queensbridge has. It's always a negative one, and I had to counteract it. Well, did you know? You know what I'm saying, that we're also had the 696 365 days without any gun violence, that we won. Now we won funding for people that go around and they intercept conflicts, maybe gangs, whatever. You got these interceptors that go out. They know the community. These people are from the community. They know their own people, and they go out when they see conflict. They try to resolve it before it turns into anything negative. Did you
Yeah,
know that? And I started like hitting them to like, let's 696 is right up there. It's called community capacity now, but it's right there. Go in there. They'll welcome you in there, and they'll tell you what their mission is. And I started trying to drag them. They, the sentence right there. There's a lot of history. I said, don't come out here without seeing the good parts and leave just what the people told you
yeah,
about this
exactly.
place, And
Because Queensbridge at one time was definitely a sanctuary for us.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was a safe place. Even though crazy shit went on, for the most part, it was safe for us.
Mhm.
We would do shit outside of Queensbridge and run back into Queensbridge and was safe, even from the police,
Police,
even
yeah.
from the police.
Because they
You know
used
what
to
I'm
have
saying?
their own police. So police could
Exactly.
go so far because now you had to deal with the housing police.
Yeah.
So they would just like kind of back up and that's their problem.
Yeah.
That's why we were
Exactly.
safe in a
And
lot of
and
ways.
and they wasn't that crazy about it because I remember doing something and remember Goody.
Yeah.
Goody said, "Oh, don't chase them. I know where they live."
You
And
sure
sure
did.
enough, when I come home, he's standing outside my damn building. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes,
and
sir.
and, and knew my mother, knew my mother,
And
knew
then
my
and then
mother.
there was who was Butch Powers' nephew. His dad was Yeah, he was a popular cop too. Oh man, I love these the senior moments, right? What's his name? Snoop. I forgot his name.
I'm forgetting who you talking about too, but
Yeah,
I know we had
he always stay in trouble. He in jail, whatever happened
yeah.
to him. I
Oh,
don't know. I haven't.
you talk ain't Snoop the one that got Anthony killed? You talking about the kid that got Anthony killed?
I don't know. I don't know.
He was from 10th Street.
Right. That was Butch Powell's nephew. Who I'm talking about.
Is Yo, I'm wondering if we're
His
talking about the
sisters. That was
same
his.
people because
She had a relationship with one of the police officers, and that was his father. And it's not Goody. It's Sam Goody.
yeah,
That
he
was
was the main one. It was a couple of them. I just always remember him because his name Sam Goody. Like how you gonna forget that shit? But you remember the cop? You remember the cop that arrested us when we turned 16? Well, you was already 16. I turned 16. It's like he knew we was old enough to be arrested, and he arrested us. You know, he ended up strangling somebody in Astoria. He ended up killing somebody in Astoria.
Yeah. And I hope his
Not
ass
too
is
long,
still,
not
and
that
I hope
long
his
after he
ass
did what
is
he did to
still
us.
in jail. You know, I really do.
I think he did. I think he did get convicted. I think
No, he
get
did. He
convicted.
did get convicted, but I said I doubt very much if he's still in jail. I said I hope he is.
Well, yeah, because that's
You know, he took a life.
50 years ago. That's 50 years ago. You know,
But
it's
anyway,
funny, Danny, man. And in closing, what would you get ready to say?
exactly that. Anyway,
Yeah, in
yeah,
closing, man,
the
I
positive
never
level.
thought that we would be sitting around talking all this old man shit that we do. And one of the reasons why I've been staying in contact with you was because of your health situation and the fact that you lost your wife. I knew that was traumatic, and could be an issue for you. That's the main reason why I call you as often as I can.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons I was so it bothered me so much that I wasn't there for that presentation. But I'm glad I got to do this with you.
Yes, it was definitely historical, man. I have to say it just like
Absolutely.
that because I don't know anybody. I mean, they got other people's signs up there, but none like this. Not attended like this. Like I said, they had a senator, the Queensboro president, the DA for Queens. You know, they had people, and someone said it. I think it was Jimmy Van Burton said, "You know the kind of if she attract these level people." You know, that lady that tell you owned that property that Amazon was trying to get, it was a tax break. That's what people made a big deal out. So
Yeah.
they offered him some $1 million tax break for coming here.
Yeah.
But it's like people don't understand what a tax break is. You can't get a tax break until you make the money in order
Exactly.
to earn the tax break.
Exactly.
So he would have had to do some stuff first before he got they was acting like the tax break was money. That money can go to something else. He ain't get the money, and it's not even real
Exactly.
money
That was
yet. It's
dumb.
not.
That was dumb. They was
That
putting the
was
cart before the horse.
dumb, and that's why he just said, "Oh, y'all crazy. You're making a big deal." I didn't blame him. Like, are you serious? I'm getting ready to bring all this business to y'all,
Yeah.
and you're talking about you crying over a tax break when I'm getting ready to bring millions, billions, probably. Yo, that hurt April very much. She did news conferences on the corner, trying to get people to understand like the stuff this guy was getting ready to do for us, you know?
Well, Danny, that's a failure of our educational system. We're not being
Mm-hmm.
taught civics anymore. Most people, if you really ask them, they don't understand how government works. They don't understand the Constitution. That's why Trump is able to do what he's doing right now, like questioning, like talking about, I don't know. What do you mean? You don't know what the Fifth Amendment mean? What do you?
Yeah.
Everybody know what the Fifth mean. What do you mean? What are you talking? But then maybe not. Maybe everybody don't know. I don't know because he's sitting on national television talking about. Well, I don't know. You know, I
Because
got
our
lawyers.
our school systems failed. That's how he could accuse the school system of being corrupt. Because they're not really teaching our kids anything. You know, nothing that needs to be taught. Simple stuff. You know, and our school systems is failing them, man. You know, and it's sad. It's always been a sad thing. You know, and then you got parents who were victimized by the same school system. And then you say, well, why don't the parent? The parent has
Parents don't
limited,
know no better either.
right?
So
They have
what
limited
the
knowledge
fuck?
as the rest of us. So it is a vicious cycle, you know. I don't know how we're gonna break it, but some point somewhere there is some other sides to this story, some good sides. I just saw this kid, this black kid that I think broke the Guinness Book of Record of being accepted to the almost every Ivy League school. He got accepted to every last one of them.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, that it was. And so, like, we do have those stories and those people, that hopefully, eventually we could learn how to turn this stuff around, and then we need. Look, they had another report, and I hate to, say, but they had the worst paying jobs for people with college degrees.
Yeah.
And on that list was teachers, educators.
Yeah.
They're the worst. They can't even find jobs. They got college degree in education and they can't find a job. These people are going to college for this and thinking like, they when they graduate, they can, get a good job in the field that you just studied all that time and got those loans for. And they can't find jobs in those fields.
Well, they should pay anybody that graduation or especially gets a master's or a doctorate in a particular thing, trade or practice. They should be able to teach in that practice and should get paid accordingly. And that's what's not happening. That's why we're not tracking. And the same thing, but I was going to say it's the same thing with police, but not necessarily true, because here in New York, police get paid pretty good. Mm-hmm. So we should have some of the best police in the world. We should, but if you're not requiring them to train more than a couple of months, and you're not requiring them to know the law, if that's not a requirement, like I don't understand how you could be a law enforcement officer and not know the law. Like I don't understand how that is even justified or how anyone that makes any kind of sense.
And it's ridiculous, but it's probably majority of them don't really think they need to grasp. Like I might know more law than them because I was a victim of the system.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Than the average person, you're going to because you had to really deal with it, and I'm going to commend you for that, because I always say that. I always say, if anybody made lemons into lemonade, you did. You could take that fucking crown. Excuse the language. You can take that. You can wear that crown. You can wear that crown. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
And with that, Danny, man, I'm gonna let you go, man. I'm so glad you did this, man, because this gives me a little closure too, and gives me a little relief. I wasn't there, but I'm contributing to the legacy by doing this and help, and you letting you do this and letting you get closure, which I appreciate you letting.
So next time you got to be there, because what you didn't see in the video is I declared it unofficially April Simpson Taylor Day.
Okay.
So I did that because, from on the April 26th every year now is April Simpson Day. So y'all could all come together. And they already planned it.
Yeah,
April 26th, we're gonna have something in the park. It's gonna be big.
Yes.
And I hope it could turn into something. I'm definitely coming back for it wherever I am.
Right.
To come back for it.
Right.
Because I do want it to be something where we could all get together, be almost like another reunion, and we all get together in the park.
Yes.
And do what we do. Come around the side, set up some blues, hit the park. And do how we always do. Socialize. Never know negativeness. That's what amazed me about us. We get together. It just seems to be all about love and peace and enjoying.
Yeah, normally we, especially the people in our area and who are the adults now, who are the old timers. Yeah, it's rarely. I haven't been to any event that's there's been any chaos, any problem.
And these people might drink and be loud and all that, but it still never. It never turns negative, We always look out for each other, walk a person home if they get too drunk, It's that kind of thing,
Yeah.
It's a backyard party.
Family, man, family. I always feel like Queensbridge people was family to always.
Exactly.
Danny, man, love you, man, and be safe. Take care of yourself. I'm gonna keep hollering at you. I'll
Yes,
be
sir.
checking in on you. You know that.
Yeah.
So with
Good
that,
talk.
man, be blessed.
All
Have
right,
a
you too.
good evening, man.
All right. Get
All
some
right.
kids for me.
All right, I will. I will. I
Okay.
definitely will, man. I
All right, love
definitely
you.
will. Damn, I got to check on see if we were still recording and everything because sometime this go out, and I hope we didn't because I really believe that's a pretty good uh interview.
Interview.
Take it easy, Danny. Talk to
All
you later.
right, love you. Later.
Love you too, man.